Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Coming to you from Washington's premier shooting club. Of course, that is Security Gun Club right here in Woodinville, Washington. Now, I apologize for my voice. I have been gone for a week and a half. I've been down in Las Vegas for a week, was in Atlanta for a half week prior to that, so I've been on a whirlwind tour. Been doing a lot of talking, breathing in a lot of luscious Las Vegas air, so still waiting for the voice to come back. Washington. It's a video for the hometown crowd. It's been a while. I was out of town, but we need to get you up to date on all of the insanity that is coming out of Olympia, and there is a lot of it. Now, the video is being recorded on Saturday, January 27th. I'm going to try to get it out tonight, but if by chance it didn't get out until Sunday morning, we got a big day coming up on Monday and even a bigger day coming up on Wednesday. We'll explain it all. We're going to go through every single bill so that you guys can understand where we are in the civilian disarmament process. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about where every gun bill in Washington state stands right now. All right, this is your friendly reminder that Washington Gun Law and the Conservative Ladies of Washington are hosting a live event this Saturday, February 3rd at 6 p.m. at Security Gun Club. We'll be streaming live for 1 hour on YouTube. Please come on by and participate, be part of the live audience. We got Dan Mitchell from Sporting Systems. We got Senator Linda Wilson. We got another guest of law enforcement joining us. And then afterwards, we're going to be heading over to Triplehorn Brewing, located right here for the second hour where you guys can get some refreshments. So join us 6 o'clock at Security Gun Club for our live feed, or 7 o'clock at Triplehorn Brewery. Okay, so like I say, just got back into town, but don't worry, Washington, I've been doing my homework. I am going to get you up to speed on where every single piece of civilian disarmament legislation sits as of January 27th. That's Saturday, January 27th. Like I said, there's a big day coming up on Monday. We got a public hearing on one of these bills that we'll talk about in a moment. And then Wednesday, and this is the important thing here, Wednesday is kind of the drop dead date. If a bill does not make it out of its house of origin by end of business on Wednesday, there's no chance that it's going to make it to the governor's desk. So if it's a House bill, it has to be passed out of the House no later than end of business on Wednesday. Senate bill would obviously need to be passed out of the Senate. So we're going to have to very, very carefully watch the voting schedule for the next few days. Now, I'm going to take these bills in the following order. The ones that appear to have absolutely no chance of ever seeing the light of day at all, and moving all the way on up to the ones that seem like they are very likely going to be hitting the governor's desk sometime later this year. Okay, the first bill, of course, is Senate Bill 5049, sponsored by Senator Linda Wilson. It's the one piece of legislation that actually makes sense. It's the one piece of legislation that would actually make a difference and make your community safer. And it's getting the same treatment in the 2024 legislative session that it got in the 23 legislative session, which is, well, it doesn't exist in the eyes of the Democrats. This bill has not even received a committee hearing. It was read one time at the start of the 23 legislative session. It has been read a second time at the start of the 24 legislative session, and that is the only movement on Senate Bill 5049. House Bill 2332, an interesting bill that would allow people to get paid for ratting out other individuals who commit a violent crime. This particular bill was first read on January 12th. It has gone absolutely nowhere since. It has not even been given a committee hearing. It does not appear that this bill is headed anywhere, at least currently. Next up, this one's a little surprising, okay? House Bill 1178. Now, I've been freaking out about this thing for 2 years. Most of you haven't, because every time I've done a video about state preemption law, nobody really seems to watch it. I really figured that this bill would pick up a lot of steam. I'm still worried that they're keeping it in their back pocket and they're going to drop it on us at the last minute. But right now, complete eradication of state preemption law under House Bill 1178 does not appear to be getting any movement whatsoever. Okay, now, House Bill 2054, the dumbest piece of legislation that we've seen this year, and that's saying something. This, of course, would limit your ability to purchase a firearm to once every 30 days. That was given its first reading on January 8th. It had a public hearing on January 16th, a part of that huge hearing that involved, I think, 5 separate Second Amendment bills. And, we had to all hear from Trudy Inslee, of course. But since that time of that public hearing, it has not been reassigned to committee or anything. It actually kind of sits in a state of dormancy. So that bill does not appear to be picking up any steam right now. Another bill I'm a little surprised has kind of stayed stagnant, maybe because they're just using their efforts to disarm you in other ways, is House Bill 2238, better known as the ammo tax. Now, I fully expected this to pick up steam. This was first read on January 9th on the House floor, and it has gone absolutely nowhere since then. It has not even been given a committee hearing. It has not even been assigned a public hearing. So at the current time, House Bill 2238, the ammunition tax, does not appear to be getting much movement. Okay, now let's talk about House Bill 1902. This is your pre-purchasing licensing requirement. This is everything that was pulled out of 1143 last year, getting shoved back into it through 1902. Now, despite the fact that there is a case out of Maryland and a case out of Oregon, both finding this unconstitutional, that didn't stop Liz Berry from pressing ahead with this. Now, had its first reading on January 8th of 2024. We had a public hearing again on January 16th, again, part of that large public hearing, the Trudy Inslee show. But at that point, it has not been sent back to committee. It has not been sent back to executive session. There does not appear to be much movement on it currently. However, it is situated where it could be put to the floor within the next 72 hours. So it's a bill that we need to carefully watch. This is an absolutely atrocious piece of unconstitutional legislation. Now, I also checked the two accompanying Senate bills. Remember, there's a couple companion Senate bills. That's 5211 and Senate Bill 6004. No movement whatsoever other than a first reading on both of those bills. So right now, at least the pre-purchasing licensing appears to be slowing down. But again, don't hold your breath on that one. Okay, House Bill 2021. This has to deal with some changes to the gun buyback scheme here in Washington State. Now, interestingly, we had a public hearing on that on January 16th. It was then referred to the Civil Rights and Judiciary Committee where it came out. It's now been sent over to the Rules 2 Committee where they had a hearing on that on January 23rd. Interestingly, one of the minority reports here in this, that is, normally you see the minority party say do not pass, actually did not really take a position on this particular bill. This bill is teed up to make it to the House floor, so you guys do need to watch House Bill 2021. If that's the only piece of gun control legislation passed this legislative session, it would be a great year for us. Okay, now, House Bill 1903. This is the duty to report stolen firearms and a civil liability if you neglect to do so. That already has had its public hearing, as you know, on January 16th. It went back into executive committee on January 19th. It came out with a recommendation by the majority party to pass. It has been referred to Rules 2 as of January 23rd. Candidly, 1903 is perfectly teed up to get sent to the House floor sometime in the next 72 hours. So you guys need to watch 1903, creating civil liability for those who fail to report stolen firearms. Now, a couple of new bills. Well, not new bills, but some new developments. Senate Bill 5444. And that's been kicking around since the 2023 legislative session. Now, it has already had a public hearing on January 15th. It was referred to executive committee on January 18th, and it was passed out of committee. It has now been sent to the Ways and Means Committee on January 19th, which is basically, can we figure out how to fund this? Now, this is all of the new sensitive places, okay? And we're going to do a separate video about the amendment here, but there was one really, really good amendment that was added here, and that is that a laundry list of new sensitive places, anyone who currently has a valid Washington State CPL would be exempted from those new sensitive places. So it's a little bit of whipped cream on crap, but that is Senate Bill 5444, and it is teed up to get to the Senate floor. We need to carefully watch this one. Now, this is the one that it's got a lot of people really freaked out, and for good reasons. And of course, that is House Bill 2118, the George Orwellian 1984. You have to have a video recording system in every single place in which an FFL is conducting business, including home-based FFLs. And I know there's a lot of FFLs out there right now that are concerned that this is going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in the recording equipment alone. I want you to know that I've been working with a couple of geeks that really understand this stuff. I don't think it's going to be as cost prohibitive as you think, although I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be a bargain basement. Now, this one is also, and FFLs need to be in particular aware of this, this one is really teed up to make it to the House floor because it had a public hearing on January 16th, like everything else, went into executive committee on January 19th, passed out of committee with a recommendation by the majority party to pass it, was referred to Rules 2 Committee on January 24th, which means it can come out of Rules 2 at any moment and be placed on the Senate floor for a vote. So that is a bill that everyone needs to carefully watch. That is House Bill 2118. Okay, and then finally, a bill that just popped up and is gathering a lot of steam really fast. That's Senate Bill 5963. This is mandatory homeowner insurance policies that would cover firearms. Now, we're going to be doing a whole separate video because this is a big, gigantic sham. As a lot of you probably already know, your homeowner's insurance would cover you in the case of an accidental discharge. On an intentional discharge, that's another story. We'll geek out about that on the other video. And as you also know, that there really is no such thing as companies that provide rider policies just for firearms use. So this could be very, very problematic to a lot of people if passed and deemed constitutional. Listen, it had its first reading on January 8th, but this is huge, Washington. This is huge. Listen up. There's a public hearing on this on January 29th, 10:30 before the Senate Committee on Law and Justice. That is Monday, January 29th, 10:30 a.m. before the Washington State Senate Committee on Law and Justice. You need to sign in right now. We're going to put all the information down below. We're also going to link up the conservative ladies of Washington down below so you guys can geek out on all of that. It's already scheduled for an executive session the day after on January 30th. I'm telling you, they're teeing this thing up to get a quick pass out of the Senate on this. This is Senate Bill 5963. So that is a laundry list of where every single one of these civilian disarmament pieces of legislation stand as of January 27th, 2024. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of movement. Now, we'll try to keep you up to date. But again, if you really want up-to-the-minute updates on what's going on down there in Olympia, not only on civilian disarmament legislation, but any of the other crazy stuff going on, you need to sign up for the Conservative Ladies of Washington's Legislative Action Center. We're going to link it up down below so you can do that. Now, listen, in the meantime, if you guys got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington Gun Law by now. If you don't, that's okay. That information is also down there in the description box. Now, in the meantime, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.